Hello everybody out there on YouTube. Nice to see your smiling faces again. So, back to one-handed Photoshop tutorials. Still on the mend, so I'm going to give you something fun and easy to do. This is how to create a liquid paint effect. Like, just picture taking like a whole bunch of different tubes of paint and squeezing them all together and just stirring them around and seeing all the different flows and patterns. So this is a fun project to do with any photo in your collection. The more colors it has in it, the more types of swirls you're going to see. Easy to do, fun to create. If you like this video, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button when you're done watching it. I certainly would appreciate that because if it helps you, subscribing helps me. So I greatly appreciate that. So I'm just going to throw that out there. And without any more delay, let's get started. Okay, so we're here inside Photoshop, and I have an image up from Las Vegas inside one of the casinos. Can't quite think of the name of it right now. It's a little bit older photo, so it may not even still appear this way, because I do know that they update their looks and change things up from time to time. However, when I was there, this is kind of what it looked like. Thought that this would be a fun image to take to create that kind of swirled marble effect. So let's give this a try. So first thing we want to do is hit Control J. A little hard for me to do sometimes. There we go. Oh, let me select that layer first. Control J. There we go, to duplicate the layer. I always like to duplicate the layer so I'm not working on this base layer. And this object is a smart object already, but if it wasn't, I would recommend that you convert it to a smart object. And to do that, you would just go into convert for smart filters here. Okay, in fact, let's, well, you could also actually do it this way too. Yeah, you could just right click on it and also say convert smart object. So it's already a smart object, so we're good to go, but two different ways of doing that. Now, there's a bunch of different ways of creating this liquid marble effect, but I find it to be the most fun when you take an actual image in your catalog, especially something like this that has a tremendous amount of colors. So one of the things I like to do first is to create a blank layer. So we're going to head and create a blank layer, and now press Shift and Backspace or Delete, and that'll bring up the fill. And now we're going to fill this with a color from the image. So the color picker is going to come up, and now let me backtrack. You don't have to use a color from the image. You can if you want to, but you could add any color that you wanted to. So if you wanted to choose a color from the image, it's probably going to blend in a little bit better. In this case, I think I'll pick these, maybe these greens back here. Okay, and I'm just going to say okay, and then okay, and now we have a layer with the green. Now I'm going to delete, I'm going to take this layer here, and I'm just going to drag it up, the duplicate layer, over our green layer. Okay, so our image layer is now above our green layer. Okay. So next thing you want to do is, with the image layer selected, go up to Filter, and then you're going to select the Liquify Filter. Okay, and that's going to bring up the Liquify panel. Okay, and you're going to select here the Forward Warp tool. Okay, now you can use the left and right brackets key to make the brush bigger and smaller. And I'm going to start with a pretty big brush initially. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this with my tablet, but you could do this with the mouse as well. You don't need a tablet. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to distort along the outer edges like that, and I'm going to work my way inward towards the middle. Okay, and now I'm going to make this smaller, my brush. Okay, and I'm going to go from not the very edges, but a little bit further out, a little bit further in. Continue. Now I'm going to make it a lot smaller, and I'm just going to take this middle section and kind of twirl that around. Now we have some dead space here, and some dead space here and here, and that's okay for now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a big brush again, and I'm going to come back to these areas, and I'm going to just kind of distort them out and push them out and fill in those areas and kind of distort anything that's left of the visible image, which wasn't really much. Okay, and that looks pretty good. And now I might take another pass just around the outside edge again, just like that. And take a little smaller brush and just fill that in. And if it's a little space there, you see that little space there where there's nothing, that's okay. Okay, you don't need to worry about that because that's why we have that base layer. So now one of the things that I want to show you is along the way, if you like the way the image looked, but you pass that up and you want to go back, there's a button here that says Reconstruct. So if you click on Reconstruct, you'll see Revert Reconstruction, and it's currently at 100%. This is like basically rewind for everything we just did. So as I slide this brush backwards, you'll see our picture unwarp. It's like basically going into rewind until we get all the way down to 0 to our starting point. So you can warp to any place that you liked, and like let's say you liked it here but you wanted to do some sections over, you could do that. Now there's some sections here that I'm still not crazy about. I'm still seeing a little bit too much of the actual image, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give that another swirl like that, and that looks pretty good. So now we're just gonna hit OK. Okay, and now here we are back in Photoshop, and we have our swirl. Now, fun thing about this is every image that you do is going to come out different. So if you take 10 different images and do this 10 different times, everyone's going to look different. If you did this image 10 different times, it's going to look different 10 different times. And that's also the fun thing about that. So now, let's say you were taking a look at this image and you decided, hey, you know what? There's just something about this that I don't like. All you need to do is double click here on Liquify. Okay, once you double click Liquify, you're back in the panel. And again, maybe change your brush size a little bit. And let's say I want to push in some colors over here. I can make some new swirls. Give it a little more visual interest over in that corner. Maybe some swirls over here. That looks nice. Maybe a little bit in here. Make some circles. And then, again, just hit OK. And there's our updated image. Okay, so, I mean, that looks really fun. And now, in case you're wondering why we have that base image, that's just in case there was anything in the Liquify area that wasn't covered. Okay, I don't see any spots on this image that we missed, but if you had missed an area, actually there is an area right here. I don't know if you can see that right there at the bottom. See that little tiny speck right there where you see the checkerboard poking through from the image, and actually right up here in this corner there's the little checkerboard where we don't actually have any paint and it's just a blank layer. So when we click OK, what you're seeing in those two areas there is that green that we had chosen from the space layer. So you're not seeing the checkerboard poking through. Actually, it might be up in here as well. So that's just really a kind of cover your bases move, and that's why we use that layer. And so once you're happy with your image, that's it, you're done. So just kind of a quick fun thing to do with your images. So hope you like that tutorial. I hope you find it helpful. And if you did, maybe you could help me, like I said, by hitting that subscribe button and hitting the like button, and also leaving me a comment. I do try and respond to most comments. If you haven't seen my Photoshop twirl video, I do have a video on actually how to create the Photoshop twirl action as well, along with a free action that will recreate all the steps to create the action for you that you can download for free. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this one, and thanks for watching. See you on the next one.